Coming up here on NFL Daily, we're talking about 3 Patriots players linked in trade rumors, and I'll let you know which guy has the most value. Saquon Barkley, how healthy is the star running back for the New York Giants, and is he going to be ready for the upcoming season? Last story coming up here on today's show is around Sammy Watkins, and will he be the Ravens wide receiver 1 over Marcus Hollywood Brown? That is all coming up right now here on NFL Daily. If you're looking for the latest NFL news and rumors, you're in the right place. Today's show is presented by Manscape. Hopefully all the guys out there took care of their dads. Maybe some of the women that watch our show, they hooked up their dads with their significant others as well. And if you haven't, going on over to manscaped.com/chat where you guys can save 20% off and get free shipping on the best male grooming products. New England Patriots trade rumors on today's show. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. The report is that the Patriots could trade several players. This is from Patriots beat writer from ESPN. Belichick, we know that he's not afraid to make a deal if he feels like, you know what, I can make this football team better. Trades also have been linked to happening before training camp. There was actually a few other trades that this ESPN writer Eric, and it's a horrible last name, so I can't even pronounce it, also links to August and September. But the players that he goes ahead and mentions is Chase Winovich, and let's get to this quote right now. Winovich and a handful of other Patriots, Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, could be potential trade prospects come August or early September. As always, what their value would be is impossible to predict, but summertime trades often involve player-for-player swaps between teams needing to strengthen certain positions, something to keep in mind. Also, the writers from Patriots.com, so that one's on me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into 3 players that he goes ahead and he talks about, and I'm going to tell you how much value they realistically have. First guy coming up here, Chase Winovich. And he had 49 tackles last season in his second season in the NFL. Coming out of Michigan, I'll tell you what, if you look at a player who has all the athletic ability, it's not Winovich. However, he always finds a way to get his nose around the football, which definitely brings a lot of value. The issue now for him and the Patriots is like when you look at the numbers of 5.5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, there's a lot more, we'll say, mouths to feed, a lot more players on defense that step up. Some people say that might help Winovich. However, I think it might hinder his numbers. So if you are trying to sell high, if you will, off the year and try to get some trade proposals out there, Winovich might actually have the most value out of all 3 guys that we're about to mention. 74 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, and 1 forced fumble in his first 2 seasons in the NFL. That's pretty dang good. The next guy coming up here is wide receiver N'Keal Harry, and I like Harry a lot. He's a really talented player. The issue is he's just never been able to stay healthy and get a good shot, I'll say, in New England. 33 grabs, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns last season. But when he was coming out of Arizona State, he had a lot of upside. But if there is one position that Bill Belichick has struggled drafting and even finding talent in free agency, and maybe not trades, Randy Moss, right? It's probably been the wide receiver position. So he's already been linked to multiple trade rumors, and there's teams out there that could potentially use a big receiver. One of the teams that comes to mind, the Atlanta Falcons. They just got rid of Julio Jones. The last position coming up here and player is Sony Michel, 26-year-old running back. When he's healthy, he's talented. You can't really deny that. His first 2 years in the NFL, over 900 rushing yards. This past season, only 449, but he did average 5.7 yards per carry. So when you find a running back in his 3rd year, a former first-round pick, 31st overall, and he's got this type of production, that's pretty solid, especially on the ground. Now, he doesn't have very good numbers but through the air. However, there's going to be some teams out there, maybe like the Miami Dolphins, who are still looking for a star running back that are like, you know what? If we feel like this guy can make us a little bit better, then why not go ahead and do it? So out of the 3 players that y'all see on screen right now, who is the most likely to get traded? If you think it's Chase Winovich, I want you to type W. Maybe it's N'Keal Harry, type H. If you're going to go with Sony Michel, type M. If any of those players do get traded, please go ahead and subscribe. That way you don't miss a thing. I don't know if y'all can tell, I am coming down with a wicked cold. But you know what? We stay up to date on everything going on. There's no days off here at Chat Sports. I love what I do, and I love the interaction in our channel that we've been able to bring to you. So if you want NFL news and rumors from sick people all season long, I got you covered here. Hit that big red button that says subscribe. Saquon Barkley tore his ACL week 2 last season, and now there's been a viral video going around of him sprinting and making some cuts, so I figured I would talk about it here on today's show. Barkley is no doubt one of the most talented players in the NFL, not just at the running back position, but literally in the NFL. Recently, he said that he would like to return when my body tells me I'm ready. If there is one thing that I've loved from watching Barkley at the Giants and even from my old days watching him back at Penn State, they don't make people like him. He is an absolute freak athlete. I mean, do you remember when he ended up hurting his ankle? People were like, all right, this guy's done. He ends up trotting back out onto the field, I believe a week or two later, ready to rock and roll. Good news is this. He looks like that he's going to be 100% healthy. He looks like that he's going to be 100% ready to rock and roll for week 1. Probably won't see him in the preseason. If they do, so be it. I would love to be able to watch him. But the important thing is this. The New York Giants get their most important piece to that offense. Now, 2020. Bit of a struggle, right? No doubt about it. But in 2018, 2019, this is where you saw the flashes of just an incredible athlete, not just running between the tackles, but also catching the football. As a rookie, over 1,300 rushing yards, 91 grabs, 721 receiving yards, 15 total touchdowns. In 2019, over 1,000 rushing yards, 52 catches, 438 receiving yards, 8 total touchdowns. That was in 13 games. So the question that I'm going to hit y'all with is this. I love fantasy football, and I don't want to make this a fantasy football question, so don't turn it that way. I want you to just be honest and say, is Saquon Barkley a top 5 running back? I want you to type 5 for yes, or I want you to type 0 for no. I'm going to go ahead and type my 0 for no because he has to be more consistent. He needs to be able to stay on the football field a little bit longer, and when he is out there, he definitely has a lot of those runs that aren't so great. Now, I can also definitely point the finger and say the New York Giants offensive line has definitely let him down. The offensive play calling has definitely let him down. However, if we're talking about just from a talent standpoint alone, that might be a little bit different. So here are my top 10 running backs because I know people are going to be asking me, Mitch, well, if he's not in your top 5, where is he? Well, actually, he's number 6 on my list of my running backs right now, and the only reason why I don't have him in my top 5 is because of the games missed. And you're going to go through a lot of these rankings here, but you can't disagree with me on Derrick Henry. He's literally led the league the last 2 years. I know Christian McCaffrey was hurt, but we've also seen a larger sample size. When it comes to Barkley, I need a larger sample size. And there's nobody that I want to see succeed more in New York than him because he is one of the players that I've absolutely loved watching at Penn State. But from a talent standpoint alone, I actually could make the argument that he is the most talented running back in the entire league. If anybody knows what SPARQ score stands for, it's basically how good an athlete is. Saquon Barkley is in the 99.9% percentile in terms of how good an athlete is for all the running backs that came out in the NFL. This guy is built like an absolute truck. He runs a 4.3. They just don't make people like him. But he needs to be, a little bit more consistent for me to put him in the top 10. But the good news about this video is he's already cutting, he's already sprinting, and he might be in the top 5 real soon. So how many total yards for Barkley next season? As a rookie, he had just an unbelievable year, over 2,000 total yards. A little bit of a down year in 2019. Obviously, 2020 was a little bit of a letdown as well. But if he can play over 16, if he can play 17 games, there is no reason to me in this New York Giants offense that he can't get 2,000 total yards. Manscape is today's sponsor, and if you haven't already gotten set up, man, you need to go ahead and do so. It's manscaped.com/chat for 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. Maybe you didn't get that something special for Father's Day. Well, now here's your chance. 4th of July, right around the corner. I don't know about you. I'm going to be rocking my Stars and Stripes bathing suit. I don't need George W. poking out of areas it doesn't need to. The reason why I love the Lawnmower 4.0, not only does it have this new look, the battery life on it is incredible, and it's got this awesome light at the end so you can get into those hard-to-reach places. So if you are in the shower, luckily it's waterproof, but if you got your leg up somewhere, and you're shaving under there and you can't quite see, that's not going to happen with Manscaped products. Usually this is $89.99. We're going to cut those prices down for you, $71.99. It's available down in the comments, down in the description. It's manscaped.com/chat. Baltimore Ravens rumors and news coming at you here. We're going to talk about Sammy Watkins, and we're going to talk about Marquise Hollywood Brown. The first guy we're bringing up here, though, is Watkins. And is he the new wide receiver 1 in Baltimore? So if y'all remember, Watkins, he ended up signing with Baltimore in free agency, and there's new reports coming out that he was the best wide receiver at Ravens minicamp. Not just because of his athletic ability, not just because of his route running or his hands, but the quick chemistry that he was able to build with Lamar Jackson. And if I'm Lamar Jackson, I've been looking for a bigger receiver. I've been looking for somebody that I can lean on, not just at the tight end position, but somebody that I can not only stretch the field with, but I can also hit in the red zone. Now, sure, Watkins has been up and down throughout his entire career, and it's actually hard to believe that he's only 28 years old. I mean, when I think about how long he's been in the league, it feels like this guy should be 35 years old. But he's got the talent. It's can he stay healthy? 37 grabs, 421 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, not really what you're looking for, especially from somebody who was drafted in round 1, and that was a long, long time ago by the Buffalo Bills. But for Watkins, can you take that next step? Can you be great? Some people might be saying, wow, that's a good sign that Watkins could be the number 1 receiver. I might also go ahead and say it might be a bad sign for somebody like Marquise Hollywood Brown. So here's what ESPN's Jamison Hensley had to say about Sammy Watkins. Coming off the worst season of his 7-year career, Watkins was the Ravens' best receiver at minicamp. He made several contested grabs and delivered the best catch of the offseason, getting separation from Pro Bowl cornerback Marlon Humphrey along the sideline for a long touchdown reception. Now, he also said this represented a big first step between Watkins and Jackson in terms of chemistry. When you look at the wide receiver depth chart here for Baltimore, you have Hollywood Brown as your wide receiver 1. At least that's how we look at it here at Chat Sports. You drafted Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. Also, shout out to Boykin, who could actually be a sleeper in a lot of leagues out there. Sammy Watkins as well. So out of those 4 receivers, who do you think is going to end up being the wide receiver 1? If you think it's going to end up being Hollywood Brown, I want you to type MB. Maybe it's Rashad Bateman, the rookie, type RB. Sammy Watkins, SW. Or if you think it's going to be somebody totally else, go down in the comments section and type O. Now, the other thing that I wanted to get to here is this, Marquise Hollywood Brown, where if you're sitting here and saying, okay, it's all good for Sammy Watkins, then I found this article from Bleacher Report that said one player from each team that could disappoint next season. They decided to go with Brown. Now, he was drafted 25 overall back in 2019, and when I see reports about Watkins dominating, not that Watkins can't dominate, but I do think that's not a good sign for a little bit of an undersized receiver like Brown in a run-first offense. When you look at his first 2 seasons here in Baltimore, he's had opportunities, and he's had more opportunities going forward, but can you go from 769 to take that next step to get to 1,000 receiving yards? That's a big question. Sure, the 15 total touchdowns is promising, but here's what Bleacher Report had to say on Brown's disappointing 2021. Brown could see a diminished role with Watkins and Bateman both on the roster, along with rookie 4th-round pick Tylan Wallace. Brown may again show flashes, but he isn't likely to be the centerpiece of the Ravens' passing attack. Should Brown underwhelm for the 3rd straight year, Baltimore may be inclined to decline his 5th-year option next offseason. So what I want you guys to do now is get your votes in here. Will the Ravens pick up Hollywood's 5th-year option? Go down in the comments section and type Y for yes or N for no.